This is Shorthammer. It is the 27th of June, 2021, and this is Trading Zones. This is going to be incredibly fast. Um, MNQ, all-time highs. It is amazing. Tech has been beaten down so much. We knew it was coming. So what we want to watch for going forward is, do we see a retracement or do we see continuation? The biggest thing I would look for is see the amount of money, right? Because this is always the facts whenever you see a big move. If institutions aren't heavily involved, there will be a retracement and they will get a chance to follow it and also take it higher. So keep an eye on the cues, keep an eye on tech, and let's see what we get. Earnings is still a ways out. We will get a dip. Just pay attention and watch your levels. The levels that I'm watching on the MNQ going forward, this upcoming week, are this 14 3 1, was it 313, and then 14384. If we get above 14384, we get candle closure above that and we're bullish. I'm looking for an extension and looking for higher, maybe the 14 400s, probably much higher than that, maybe 14500. We'll see. If we dip below 14313, I'm looking for a retracement to the 14231 area. If we can break out of this little hitch here down into the 14269 to 14313, we'll see how that works out. Below that we have 14231. 14192 is the previous high, previous zone to watch for by 14154. I'll draw these zones in this upcoming week. Um, just a lot of just doing just super busy, but watch that on the cues and watch tech. Um, but don't just follow these levels and wait for the pullbacks or wait for the break of the supply. Supply becomes demand, demand becomes supply. So keep an eye on that. Let's run on over to the um, MES. Mm. So looking at the MES, same here because I don't really trade the MES much. I prefer the range that I get from the cues. Same thing. Look at that. We're gone. And so what I would watch for if I were you is pullbacks into this candle structure. If we continue to hold above, watch for new highs. But the best for me, everyone has a different strategy. Some people are breakout, they like playing the breakouts or chasing the breakouts. For me, I like following the trend. One. So my first thing I want to do, there are two things that I want to do. Determine my levels. That's the first thing. Where are my supply zones? Where are my demand zones? Those are the first. That's the first thing that I do, right? When I'm looking at something, and of course, it got to have a certain amount of volume. But that's what the first thing I look for: supply and demand, right? Then the next thing I look for is the trend. And once I figure out those two things, I can then look at volume, look at price. But my first thing I want to know is where's the supply and demand, and the second thing is what's the trend. If I can figure that out, I can then work around finding a good entry. And even if my entry is kind of shaky, right? If my entry, even if my entry is shaky, I still know where I need to get out or stop out if the trend breaks. And also I could have an idea of where to look to start scaling out or taking profits if the trend holds and we continue to go in that direction. So watch that. Make sure you have your supply demand. I would watch around this 14 to 50s right here on the previous close, 4250, I mean 4255, 4254, all through there. Then you have candle structure back down here around 4248. I'd watch that area, see if we get a pullback if we continue. If we get a strike dip to 4260s, watch that area, look at that candle structure, how that sort of went sort of like basing here before getting a push, even though we had this flare down. Look at that push. That's beautiful, right? That's what you want to see. This is beautiful. We have, the trend is going up. Now you have to check price and volume and figure out now if you put pop pivots on here, which I'm waiting for Elisa to do. She'll pop the pivots on here. You'll be able to see exactly where the next area, the highest probability area where we'll see supply. But that is more Elisa's thing. I use pivots, but I love pivots. And look at the RTY. Exactly what we mentioned last week, what we were waiting for to happen. We did see that happen. Look at this push. Now, where we are here, testing this 2340s, we have to get back above that and see an extension to the 2350s. If we don't see that, we could see a retracement to the 2313s. Hopefully, I'm not speaking too fast, but let's watch and see what we get here. If we continue to go sideways, we want to see a break and hold above this level and an extension into the 2350s. If we scroll back on our charts, what we'll see is look at the previous levels, right? We did hit 2360s before. And when we did get there, we did see a push through here right around the 11th of March, and then a hitch, a pullback here, right to about 2320s in this area here, before we saw continuation to the 2350s and then the 2360s. So we may see a pattern repeat, and that could be what's happening in this movement here. Or what we could be seeing is what we see here, right? We see a push through, and this was on the 8th of June, or roughly around the 8th of June. And then we saw a retracement all the way back down here to the 2301 area, nearly 2305 ish, maybe. And then we saw a bounce, but then there was no strength and continuation to the upside. So, what we can, in my opinion, decipher from what we're seeing above the 2340s and around the 2350s is that so far the buyers haven't been motivated to push us higher. We'll see if that if that sentiment continues, or if the buyers feel as if there's more value to the upside. We'll see. Keep it moving, moving fast. It's gonna be, when I say fast, I mean blazing fast. Amazon. Amazon is not at all-time highs. We see the retracement here, hit the 3500s. Couldn't find oxygen above this. Went back below. You climb those mountains. Sometimes you need to carry an oxygen pack with you, and Amazon didn't have it. So Amazon is right down here around the 3400s. I'll wait for it to touch this base around the 3380s. We'll see what we get there. They did pass some legislation, I believe, changing just a lot of the benefits that tech companies receive in the United States. I would dig into that if I were you, if you're a heavy investor in tech, just to see which companies are the heaviest impacted by that and which companies it doesn't really matter to. And that will impact their earnings, right? Because that's all about guidance, right? So you got to see sort of the headwinds that you may be facing in the future. And that, the new czar that they call them czars, new person that Biden put in place, I believe, over the FTC, it can cause turbulence for tech companies. I did mention that in my last video. So definitely take a peek at that and just see what's in there. And that could help inform some of your investment in tech companies going forward. And so we watch for the if we see a bounce in the 3380s, 3370s, 3340s, or 3260s. Yes, Amazon did do pretty good for us this week. Like, just in case you're wondering how, I don't really trade on what is this, on trading view. I'm trying to learn how to make it run smoothly and connect it with um some of my other brokerage accounts, and it's not working well. So I'm trying to, what I launched on here is I'm trying to paper trade on here so I can figure it out as much as I can when I can, to figure out how. I just don't like the movements or the execution. I feel like my other platforms are smoother. So I'll primarily use this for charting, and I'll get it down one day. Like, for me, any platform I start on, I try to paper first, so I could see if I could get the inner workings. So I've been live, and it just didn't work out well for me on my exits and being able to manage it. I prefer the other platforms right now, but I'm gonna keep papering here on TradingView until I figure it out, and I'll get it. And at that point, I'll probably stop using some of those other platforms and see. I think Trade of Eight syncs with here because I'm over at Trade of Eight and a few other places, but um also really like E-Trade is good, and do some things over at E-Trade, primarily options and shares. But when it comes to Thinkorswim, purely options at Thinkorswim. I love the way that you can do complex options there, and I like the ability, the tools that they provide to be able to project potential situations with your option strategy. So I really do like Thinkorswim for that. But neither here nor there. Keeping it moving. So we'll see what happens, right? And we'll look to see if the buyer step in at 33.86, 33.70, 33.44, or 32.68. We'll wait to see what happens. So let's keep it moving very quickly. Pardon me. Have to jet and look at Microsoft. Look at that, right? So what we want to see is, and I'll pop these lines in, but I would look for right around the 262.90 area. Look at that candle structure up here where you saw the drop to 264.40s. You want that to hold, right? You want that to hold 264.40s by 264.70s. You want all that little area to hold here, and you want to see a buyback up and sort of a what do you call a flat top right around the 266.80s into 267s, and you want this to break. So we'll see if that works out or doesn't work out. But the levels that we have right now down around this 261 area, and we'll see if we get a pullback to that. Usually, no matter, I look at things when they run, how far are they out from earnings? And will they get a slight pullback prior to earnings, right? And then get a buyback up, right? In case anyone missed that run. So we'll see if this run, you have to look at the volume in the market and look at sort of what's going on to see if this run was caught um by big money, right? And if they didn't catch this, it's going to pull back. So always look to make sure, because if they're not in it, they're going to yank this bad boy back. I know that sounds conspiratorial, sounds ridiculous, but I've been in a few things that I didn't think were going to pull back when it comes to the blue chips. Um, Certain people are going to make sure that they get paid, right? But definitely check. I know I keep saying it over and over again. Definitely check what's in that new bill or legislation that just passed. Looking at Apple, Apple is not at all-time highs. Apple hit the 134, and what have we said? Above 127.45, we're more bullish than that on Apple, and then watch for a touch of the 131. So we got that, right? We pulled back, we held the 200 here, right around the 129.17 area. We bounced off of that level, went back to the 131s, higher lows, higher highs, and we pushed through and tag the 134s. What are you watching going forward? Well, we want to see if we pull back to the 131s again. If we stay above the 131.70s and buy back up to the 134.23s, we'd like to see a break and a push to 137.28. If you look to the left here, right around the 14th of April, all the way through to the 20th of April, you saw these upper wicks, which means the buyers didn't see more value to the upside because we didn't get continuation. And even here, right, headed into earnings, we saw more upper wicks. And even though we saw this big buy candle here on the 28th of April that pushed us up near the 140 area, what did you see? Right after that, look at the retracement, and we've been selling ever since, right? And we just now, if you want to count the 3rd of June, right? And in June, did we start seeing buyers step in and push this back to the upside? So this is interesting, right? So we have to see if up around these 134s, a little bit higher into the 135 area, if we can see bullish continuation. This is great buy up, but we need bullish continuation above this. Great run from 127s. So that's what we're watching on Apple. Sort of put down these lines. If you want to hear my narrative on Apple, sort of what I'm thinking, my thesis on that, check the last video because I do discuss what I'm expecting, right? And I could be 100% wrong, but the curveball that I think that's being thrown right now is some of the legislation concerning tech companies that might negatively affect them, right? So take a peek at that just to see, even if sales are up, numbers are up, that could be headwinds. Alrighty, next up, Facebook. I didn't even get Netflix yet, but look at Facebook. We're jamming. Okay, what we previously were looking for was a break above the 333s. We got that. A continuation up, even though we saw this pullback in here. Look at this extension that we're seeing. That's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful, right? We held the 330s and pushed up. Look at these bottoms. You could just almost draw these curves here on the bottoms as you see that the buyers are telling you they feel that there's more value to the upside, and the sellers are telling you that, man, we got to get out here because we're not able to push this down. We're jumping out because we don't feel that there's more value downward to the downside. We feel that the buyers may be in control here. So all these attempts to push Facebook down were met with failure, right? And I'm looking at all these lower wicks below the 330s and how quickly they bought back up, and now we're up here. So beautiful thing. So what are you watching for next week on Facebook? Me, I'll watch to see if this candle structure here, 337.50s, if that area holds. If that holds and the buyers push, watch for a pushback through the 343s into the 344s and higher. So this could be interesting. So we'll see what we get here. I would expect some sort of a liquidation break, and also check how the news about tech affects them. Also, Facebook is seeing an effect and an impact, I believe, if you look at what's going on with Apple and how Apple is limiting the ability of advertisers to market to people that utilize Apple devices. So I'll take a look at that, and it's not just going to hit Facebook; it's hitting Google too. So that's something interesting to keep an eye on to see how that may impact earnings, since a lot of the growth that they see is primarily on the ad side. They have a lot of other offerings, but their ad side is like just straight money for them. So I think that's really interesting on Facebook. Let's peek over at Netflix. Um, on Netflix, what did we say? We said that we needed to break above the 514s. And if we did, watch out for the 529s. We got there and we pulled back. Now, what do we want to watch for? We want to watch for bullish continuation. That's the word of the week, bullish continuation. So, on something like Netflix, what you want to see is a pop above the 529s and then a continuation into the 535.60 area. That's what I'll be watching for on Netflix. If we don't get that, I'll watch any pullbacks and see if we get a hold around the 523s to 525s for a breakthrough 529.40s. For me personally, I'm not getting long until we get over the 529.40s. And I'm also not going to short this because this is an interesting pattern. If we pull back to the 514.50s, I'll be looking for buyers. I mean, 514.50s. I'll be looking for buyers to step in because previous supply will definitely become demand a lot of times, or it's, a high probability. But we'll see how that works out on Netflix. If you want to hear any narratives on Netflix, please jet over and check out last week's video. Keeping it moving. NVIDIA is gone. I'm gonna make sure to draw some lines on this. I've been trading this with pivots. So what are we watching for now? We topped out again, right? So my expectation, if we can't go higher, is that hey, we're gonna go lower. And if we do dip, I'll be watching out for the 737, 738-ish area. If we go lower, then the 721s on NVIDIA. We've been talking about chip companies for weeks, talking about the supply demand dynamics of chip companies right now, talking about the squeeze and the pressure on the used car markets based on what's been going on with these chips. So definitely dig into that if you kind of are wondering what's going on with chips and why, we were mentioning you want to look at chip companies, and it's really a market that's under pressure right now. And just look at the explosion up. You can see that from here. This is the 19th of May. Look at this push that entire time. It's beautiful. And it's not done yet, right? There's still a lot of pressure in that market because there is way more demand than there is supply. And so keep an eye on that. Watch these levels, 722s. I'd keep an eye around the 738s, see if we can hold that if we pull back. If we also hold the 757 area, and you want to see if we can break above the 775. If we break that, 800 is definitely in our sights. I'm going to have to get with Lisa to overlay the pivots on here so I could definitely get those levels. Because for me, as a retracement trader, I don't. I'm definitely not. It's not Star Trek. Like I'm not going where no trader has gone before. When these things are breaking out, I'm waiting for retracements or trading things that are retracing. That's just where I'm at, right? Intel. So we were shaking out of this. I've got no interest till we get back above the 56 area. So even though Intel is a chip company, look where Intel is compared to NVIDIA. Isn't that interesting? And take a peek at AMD while you're at it. So for Intel, we have to hold the 5570s. We need to buy back above the 5690s. And if we do that, I might be long above the 5690s, but I'll be beginning my scale out around the 5780s ish, that area, 5770s to 5780s. And I may leave a small runner to see if we can break this top around the 5830s on Intel. Keeping it moving. CMG. Ooh, beauty of beauties. I held above. It's exactly what we wanted to happen. I did not trade this at all. Right above the 1510s. Watch this area. We should see a little ricochet. If we don't, watch for the break and the push into 1548s. Remember, I mentioned I had no idea why this company would be down, that how well they did during the pandemic, how much of my money they took. They took my money and McDonald's took my money. Man, but Really like CMG. Um, love what they provide as a company. Not a fan of all the things as far as how they manage. But I don't get into that. But I really like CMG, and I love what it's doing right here. I definitely believe this is a strong company, and they have great management as far as I know. I haven't really heard anything concerning their management that's been negative, right? So let's see if this continues. People love burritos. If things are opening back up, guess what that means? College students are back in college. They're back at Chipotle, and they should have a record quarter, right? That's what I'm just. This is me not looking at any numbers, just theorizing. Everyone must do their own research and deep dive. This is not trading advice, but I would expect CMG to continue as the fall comes and students are back in college. I would think that they would be back at CMG, and some of these companies that you know um, that may have done well, that may have seen a pullback, may also do see a bounce once things are back to normal. Just just my 1.5 cents. Not you know it's what it is. McDonald's still in range. We need a break above 235. What's funny is selling below the 226.70s wouldn't be a bad idea because this thing has not been able to get there. I might do that this week. Sell some premium below the 226.70s. But for McDonald's, I'll wait for a break above 235. But I definitely think this is still a zone. What we said weeks ago still holds. McDonald's tends to break or to drop to a level and then go sideways for weeks, if not months. When it breaks either direction, watch for an extension, right? So if we get below this 229 area, watch for an extension to 226.70s. If it breaks that, watch for 223.60s. If we break above 235, 26, watch for a break of these upper wicks here around 238.01, 238s. We break the 238s, look for an extension to the next whole number 240s. We'll see how that works out in McDonald's. Keeping an eye on it. Um, let's see. And finally, I apologize for the speed. I am jetting. JPM financials took a hit, took the market with it a little bit, but tech is pushing the market up. Now we see a bounce. And what's funny is look at this line. It's been there, right? This was in our last video. Look at this bounce here, right? And now we're seeing a retrace. Watch for the 154.70s. If we break above that and hold, watch for 156.78s. Above that and hold, watch for 161.60s. But watch this candle structure here, 157.80s, and see if we can get above that, right? And if we do happen to pull back, watch for the first hitch here. Previous close 152.53, then a drop down to 149.36. Looking for buyers, and we'll see what we can get here. But this area now is supply. Let's see if we can get above that. If we get above that, it becomes demand. Watch for an extension into our next level. I believe financials just passed the stress test. And that usually means they can now spend more money on share buybacks and things of that nature. But I'm not sure if the Biden administration is limiting that. So that's something to actually look into. But just there, no matter what happens, it seems as if financials find or banks find a way to benefit. Keep an eye on the RTY and just that index because so many banks and credit unions are in there, and that should be interesting to see if that continues to go up. If you're watching Goldman Sachs, see if we hold 367. This looks as if we've regained this trend line. Um, we'll see if that holds. Watch out for the break at 373.99, then 379.78, 382.65, 387.54. If we go back down and break the trend line, watch for 362.28, 356.45, then 347.94. SPY, all-time highs. Ooh, what am I forgetting? Oh, the baby of all babies. Uh, uh, uh. Tesla came up out of these Sophie, all these pink lines are the Sophie levels, right? The deeper you go, the deeper it is at Sophie levels. And yes, she played it. Talked to her the other day. And we're back up 616s. We said the break of 616s. Eye on 651. We got it. Break of 651. What are we eyeing? Up here around the 713s. So what we have to get through this little bit of candle structure here, right? We see that here, right? So we really want to put back above 689, 690, and a push into 713s. If we retrace to 651s, I'll keep an eye out to see if buyers step in. Definitely possible. But you can see this candle structure here that may lend a little bit of pop, 668s and all that area. But for me, I'll be watching 651 or what we do at 713.49. Beautiful play. Love Tesla. Definitely played this multiple ways this past week, and Sophie absolutely killed this. Tip of the cap to Sophie on this. But news will circulate about Tesla, but what you want to do is do what you've always done, right? If something continues to hit an area and buy out of it, or hit an area and sell, believe what the chart is telling you. Just make sure you manage your risk. So you see the levels on Tesla that we're watching, we'll see what we get, right? And wait for candle structure to show you what's going on intraday. Also keeping an eye on the Qs and other tech sectors. I mean, other tech companies, and seeing what's going on. That's usually really important. On days when the market is bullish and there's no bad news, stocks like Tesla could go. So definitely keep an eye on all these stocks, and see if what happened last week was a blip, or if we see continuation this week with more money flowing into the market. Got to keep an eye on that, in my opinion, because this could all. Yes, we made new highs, but what does that mean if the money is not behind it? SPY saying we knew it was higher. I'll pop these lines in. I don't really trade the SPY much, but I should. Um, SPY and the SPX, good premium. You get good premium selling, but neither here nor there. Be careful and manage your risk, and don't go all in. Don't let fear be a driver for you. Stick to your plan. If you like this video, please don't hesitate to tap the like button. And if you'd like to receive more videos like this, please subscribe to our channel, Power of Pivots, where you can look forward to receiving not just videos from me, but videos from Elisa as she shows how she utilizes her power of pivot strategy and software to be able to find great pre-market, intraday, and post-market entries, and also great swing plays. Thank you so much for your time. Have a wonderful week of trading. Stay safe. And prayerfully, you and your family are having a wonderful summer as things begin to open back up. Thank you again.